more and more I'm asking myself this question: am I a team player, or am I just looking after number one, which happens to be me? And that's a very hard thing to hang on to here at the Abbey, since we're hearing from Venerable Children so much with the teachings from Shantideva and the book Good Karma, which she's unpacked the poem by Dharmarakshita. And the full title of that is not just The Wheel of Sharp Weapons. I love the full title, which is The Wheel of Weapons Striking at the Vital Points of the Enemy. So I've wanted to use this analogy of a sports team for a long, long time, and I just was too lazy to get it together. So finally, after years, I've kind of gotten it together, and it may need some it will need some refining. But basically, we are all on a team of some sort. It might be a sports team. It might be that you're the team at the Abbey. A family is a team. The workplace is a team. We are a team of 8 billion humans on this planet. And so how are we going to manage the responsibility of being a team player? I'm going to focus in on one particular athlete. I'll give you a hint, but you probably won't know who I'm talking about. So at age 10, this young boy was a child prodigy in this sport. And by age 10, he was given the name the Great One. Do you know who that is? Wayne Gretzky. Now, you can get nicknames as a kid, and they usually don't stick. But this one stuck, and so you'll have to bear with me. I'm not a hockey fan. I'm not, but this fellow was really outstanding when he played the sport. Amazingly outstanding. So he loved the sport, and he had all these conditions that helped him grow his abilities in the sport. His dad flooded the backyard every winter and turned the backyard into a hockey rink, because it was clear that this little boy was gifted and loved it. And so he eventually put up lights so that little Wayne, in Canada, north of the 49th parallel, it gets dark earlier. And so there were lights on that little rink. And he would play for hours and hours every day. And his dad was just nudging him along, not forcing him, not being a helicopter dad, just letting the kid do what came naturally. And so by the age of, I think, about 17, maybe 18, he was already drafted into the National Hockey League, playing professional hockey. And he kept setting new and new sort of world records for what hockey players can do. He could skate well. He was always scoring. He was a forward, which on the team means he's at the front. But despite this incredible talent and being always referred to as the Great One, he didn't take advantage of this privilege that he had. So he was always very aware that he was part of a team. And to show that, he would play for the Edmonton Oilers, which is the city where I lived, for 9 years. So he went right from being a kid in Ontario to being drafted to this team in Edmonton. He was there for 9 years. The last 5 years of his 9 years, the Edmonton team won 4 Stanley Cups, which means you've won the whole league in Canada and the United States, which is a very big deal if you're a hockey fan. And the person who owned the team at the time was not very ethical, and you would think that this team would be fabulous, just flowing in cash, because players, they generate a lot of interest with advertising and all of that. But the team was losing money like crazy. And so this is what happened. After bringing home 4 Stanley Cups, the Great One sadly discovered that loyalty doesn't always go both ways. The world was shocked, and it was the world. The world watches hockey, if you can believe it, when Wayne Gretzky was traded to the Los Angeles Kings. One Canadian said it was like trading the King of England to Russia. Most sports enthusiasts agreed it was the biggest trade in sports history because Gretzky was the greatest player in hockey of all time. And even the elected members of the House of Commons in the government put forth a bill to stop this sale. It didn't work. He was traded to the Los Angeles Kings because the owner of the team needed cash, and in return for 3 players, they got $15 million for Wayne. Now, the great one, the talented one, they were winning games at that time for many, many more reasons, just besides the fact they had Wayne. There were a number of talented players on that team. They had played together for 5 years when they first started winning the Stanley Cup. So there are all these causes and conditions that the owner could not see because of his greed. Wayne was aware of this. All of his teammates were aware. So that when this was announced that he was being traded, Wayne sat at the interview podium and cried and said goodbye to his teammates. And according to this article, the Canadians wept with him. So he continued to hone his skill as a hockey player. And with all the other teams, he stayed in the United States after that with 3 other teams. None of the other teams won the Stanley Cup. So the point I'm making is that one person alone, in any team, any group, any organization can't do it alone. Yes, we see that one individual is powerful, like Mr. Putin, but a person can't do it alone. So the harmony and the effectiveness of a team really hinges on the fact that we all do our part. So, and there's another quote here. And so a monastery is the same thing. We have our parts to play here. We all make it work. It's not up to one person to make sure that it's going to work. So now I want to get to his attributes other than being the star hockey player, the great one. His contributions, and more importantly, his character, cannot be reduced to the statistics acquired in the course of his 20-year hockey career. According to his teammate, Mark Messier, who was another very talented player who was on the team with him in Edmonton, said, "The lessons that his father taught Wayne really were ingrained in his consciousness. And because of that, Wayne never wanted to let his parents down. He was cautious. He was responsible. There are no hidden stories. There's 0 controversies about the great one. So it's almost impossible to find someone who has anything negative to say about Wayne. I'm sure if you dug hard enough, you'd find it. People have opinions. They like to denigrate people. And so in a similar way, so this is an analogy, right? And as Venerable reminds us, analogies fail at a certain point. I'm pointing at a person who in this life was very successful doing a worldly thing. Now we're talking about being spiritual practitioners. We're looking beyond this life. We're not looking to, get the 8 worldly concerns all sewn up. And so when we take the 5 precepts, then we're also needing to be cautious. We need to be responsible. We need to realize that, we're having an impact on everyone around us. It impacts our life, and this impacts us in this life, and it impacts our future lives. And then when we do keep these precepts as best as we can, we inspire trust in others. And so, not that we're trying to get a good reputation, but people will feel safe around us. They may have good things to say about us every now and then. They may not. Who cares? As long as we're doing our best to be ethical and to be kind. Now I'm going to get to some of the nitty-gritties. He was the great one, right? He was the best hockey player at the time. He did not skip morning skating practice. He did not. A lot of the veterans on the team who were in his league of playing, they did. He didn't. He could have decided that, I don't need to go to practice. I'm the great one. Can't you tell? He didn't do that. He could have insisted on having his own private locker room. You remember what locker rooms are like from high school. They're stinky. They're smelly. He could have had his own one. They would have probably given him everywhere they went. He didn't choose to do that. He was part of a team. He could have had his own private skating rink to practice on. So here's the one team, right? The team's doing their practice, right? Doing all the skills they need to do. Wayne's over here. Because he's the great one. He didn't choose to do that. Because when we're on a team, we rely on each other. And we grow with each other. And if we're present or if we're absent, that affects the team. So what do I do when the self-centered thought starts showing up, which does throughout the day? No doubt about that. And I think, yeah, I'm too tired. I'm not going to go to practice. Or I think, I need my own meditation space. I'm having this sciatic pain right now, and I just read that if I did sausage rolls, do you know what sausage rolls are? If I did those back and forth in my own meditation space, I wouldn't be bothering others, and my sciatica pain would just decrease. And I think I would really help my concentration, because then I wouldn't be concentrated about, am I bothering people when I move and adjust my body? So I think I should ask vulnerable children for my own meditation space. And you know what? I'm pretty sure, now I'm joking. I'm saying this first. I'm joking. I think no one here knows I'm the great one. So it's my job to let you know. I'm joking. So I have a number of responsibilities here. I'm on the water sports team, which is the new name for dishwashing. And so, do we really take to mind the fact that when we go out to the dental appointment and we're on a dishwashing team, that our absence impacts the team? Do we remember to replace ourselves? Or do we just think in the car, oh, gee, forgot about that. Oh, well, they'll deal with it. So then, do I continue to look at the mold growing in the kitchen trap on the floor? And right now, it's getting to be the size of a small animal. It's green in color. Maybe it'll turn into an alligator. I don't know. But, do I then think, it's not really my job. Someone else can take care of that. Or can I get down on my hands and knees and just deal with it? I'm asking myself this question. Don't worry, I'm not picking on any of you. And then when I notice that there's a guest here who's here for the first time, and we know who they are, and they're looking lost, do I go up and approach them with a friendly face and say, do you need help with something? Or do I just breeze by, smile and wave and think, I'm so busy. I have so many things to do and someone else will help them out. So this morning, I was cleaning the vestibule. And I happen to love vacuuming, by the way. That's not a lie. But someone said, are you doing that because it's bugging you? And I said, no, actually, I'm not doing it because it's bugging me. It's because it needs to be done. If I was doing things here solely because it was bugging me, oh my goodness, I would be a miserable person to live with. Oh, it would be just terrible. Okay, back to Wayne. So not only was he famous, everybody knew his name, he really took advantage of his celebrity status. He visited sick kids in hospitals. He called friends who were struggling. He founded the Gretzky Foundation to help young people in need. He took part in thousands of charity events over the years. He still does. And despite his busy schedule, he knew it was important to be a positive role model. He knew that people were looking at him. And part of being famous is you're giving people permission to look at you and stare at you. And that comes with a lot of responsibility. And so in a similar way, we're receiving Dharma teachings. And even if we're just brand new to the Dharma, you will have heard something by now that you can use in a practical way. And because it's so rare to hear the Dharma teachings, especially now, it's actually our responsibility to share that when we see people in need. And we can do it. It's just the smallest things we can do. It's maybe even just smiling at someone or not harming them with a critical remark. I mean, it's endless of things we can do with a little bit of Dharma. Back to Wayne. So he has had and still has personal qualities that endear people to him. He's polite, he's humble. You can't find a single interview with him in it where he's boasting about his talents, and he sure could. There are opportunities time and time again in his life where the Great One could have made it all about him, but he never did. He grew up as a prodigy. He could have easily grown that ego to go along with his talents. He got awards like crazy. He was recognized over and over again by his peers as being the most valuable player. And according to many, his most prominent skill was setting up different players to score. Okay, so we're talking about a worldly thing, scoring. But as a practitioner, as a spiritual practitioner, are we setting up people to succeed, to be happy? Glenn Sather, his coach in Edmonton, said this of him: I have millions of memories of Wayne, and they aren't so much about what he did on the ice as what he did off the ice. The fans will undoubtedly just remember his goals, his highlights, his wins, but those close to him will always cherish his character and the type of person that he has been. I'm not the first person to say this. He's always been a better person than he was a hockey player. That's the thing to hang on to. So check out through the day. I'm talking to myself again. Am I being a team player? Or am I looking out for the self-centered thought that wants what I want, when I want it? And then just remember, our teachers and the holy beings, yes, they care about what we do on the cushion, of course. You know, that we're not wasting our precious human rebirth daydreaming about who's going to take care of that green slime growing in the kitchen trap in the kitchen. But what we do off the kitchen is what the wise ones care about. And so should we.